Hello and welcome to another review. This time we're looking at recently released by Roco Swiss Railway panorama cars in Gotthard Panorama Express paint scheme. These cars were released by Roco under 3 different catalog numbers with 3 different side numbers, and conveniently I happen to have all 3 of them. Catalog numbers 74400, 01 and 02. These are all the E6 latest paint scheme, and let's take a look at packaging. Standard Roco hard shell box. There's the model, and there's also a sachet with small parts on the side, manual underneath. And here's the full content. Of course, manual for installation of small parts. These are all the small parts you are getting, and of course the model. Electrical connectors and harnesses. I don't know how well you can see, there's a tiny opening here. They need to be installed here and kind of hanging on the corner. 2 of them for both ends. This is a transition plate for AC. If you decide to run this on Merklin system, 3-rail system, you have to install this plate here to adapt the bogie for the 3rd rail pickup. 4 pieces of additional elements here for the boogies. 2 on each, they need to be just pressed in here, and 2 release pipes for the, I assume these are the restroom release pipes here. You can see the opening here, 1 on each side. Price point in Europe about 89 euros, and here in the US about $80 to $86 per car. This car is available from Roco from quite some times now, and this is the 3rd paint scheme release. In my opinion, it's the most attractive, the Gotthard Panorama Express. And also what is interesting is this is the car with pre-installed Pricer figurines inside, and we'll talk about it a little bit later. In terms of cost, the previous versions which were released around 2011, the gray and white, which is the older paint scheme, are available on eBay for about $40. There's also a version in the catalog right now with only the orange and red stripes without the mountains and the Gotthard Pass logo, and the standard paint scheme version is about $10 cheaper than this one. This model is clearly 90% all about graphics and execution of the paint, and Roco did a really good job executing all the small details and the logos. This is very nice and crisp, as you can see, with very nice and sharp separation of colors. All the small markings here are really nicely executed as well. Nice and clean. And the opposite side. Clearly one of the modern, sleek passenger car designs, therefore there's not really much to talk about on the rooftop, except for a couple of vents. Nice and clear windows. Buffers are solid, not spring-loaded, which is standard for Roco. Both end of train markers are red, semi-translucent, so if you decide to use them you can illuminate them. And there's a very nice feature which I don't think I haven't seen from Roco yet. The transition plate is actually retractable, and the diaphragms are separate. And just to compare, here's another Roco model, about 6 to 12 months old, CD passenger car, and you can see the diaphragms and the transition plates is all one piece, kind of old style, inexpensive execution, so this is very nice upgrade. However, there is almost $40 price difference between these 2 models. And the tracks or the bogies, industry standard snap-in pivot point. Nothing really special. Two-dimensional injection molding, classic Roco execution. And you can see the pivot point and the close coupling mechanism right here. Right, so far so good, very nice looking model. Let's take a look inside then. So here we go, the bogies. And then you have 6 locks on each side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I had to prime the shell a little bit. This model is actually fitted tighter than I expected, but nothing really special. You can open it very easily. Then you have the interior, just the basic frame with the weight. There's a nice separation wall here, which is clear. And here's the interior, included the 12 Pricer pre-installed figurines. And we'll talk about it in a minute. And here's just the shell. Very nice and thin windows, and there's also very nice execution of ceiling. I don't know how well you can see it, but there are ceiling panels injection molded, and that's a separate part. You can clearly see the ceiling panels. There's no space for light system here because of the ceiling panels. However, there is this very interesting clear plastic part, and they are on both ends of the car, which I think were originally designed to probably somehow deliver interior lights. Another interesting upgrade are the chairs. They can be removed and snapped in and out. It's not just one piece injection molded piece of plastic. Let's talk about the Pricer figurines, which obviously are a very nice touch. I have an open question for Roco marketing department. What is the point of launching 3 cars under 3 different catalog numbers with 3 different side numbers for prototypical execution and installing in them the same set of 12 figurines in exactly same spots in all 3 models? Am I missing something? To reassemble the model, you have to put the interior first. It's kind of tight here, you have to put it in, and then my personal conclusion. Overall, I think it's a very good looking model. I'm glad to see some of the upgrades implemented by Roco, like the ceiling panels and the removable seats, retractable transition plates between the cars. At the same time, this is something that I would expect from a reputable company like Roco to implement in mainstream models by 2018 anyway. Personally, I'm finding the installation of 12 exactly the same old Pricer figurines in exactly same spots in 3 cars under 3 different catalog numbers with 3 different inventory numbers for prototypical accuracy embarrassing. The $80 to $86 or 89 euros price point is placing this model in the same price partition on the market as LS models. Unfortunately, despite all the upgrades and inclusion of figurines, this model is not quite LS models quality yet. LS models announced release of this car on the market in 2018, but in the classic white orange paint scheme, not the Gotthard Panorama Express. Therefore, that leaves Roco pretty much the only one player right now on the market with this specific paint scheme. Märklin also announced release of exactly the same model in exactly the same paint scheme, Gotthard Panorama Express. Unfortunately, to my knowledge, these cars will be executed in 1 to 100 length scale, which is not acceptable from my perspective. Happy model railroading!